Palantir as a stock has just been on an absolutely insane run over the last year, up 368%. And believe it or not, when I was just starting up this channel, audio wasn't very good, video wasn't very good, didn't really know what I'm doing. I'm still don't, but I knew even less back then. In early October, I made a video on this stock, so it would have been right around in this range. And I said, I think Palantir, although, it has high PE, that I think it can continue to run up, perhaps. And oh boy, did it. Now, I don't own any Palantir. I didn't recommend it, but of course I don't do any financial advice. I don't tell anyone to buy anything. But I thought there was a decent chance momentum kept it going. Good earnings would keep it rising, and oh boy, has it. I mean, it was about 40 a share back in the video. You guys can check it out. I mean, I don't think the video is particularly good, but if you're really interested, it's all public. It's out there. You can search it on my channel. But it just really is incredible how much a company and how much a stock can move in such a short period of time. If you don't know what Palantir does, they're a software company. They started off specifically with being in the defense industry, working with the intelligence community, things like that. You can read all about this if you want, although they've been breaking into more of the just normal private sector as well. And they've been doing well as a company. Don't get me wrong. It is true if we look here at earnings, they have been growing here with its income statement. I mean, they've tripled revenue, nearly tripled revenue in a 5-year time frame. That is good. It really is. They were not profitable. The PE metric isn't fully accurate considering they're just becoming public. However, once you do look a little bit deeper into how much revenue they bring in and what they're valued at, it is, like I said, I think two things can be true. Probably many of you watching this video don't give one rip about me. You really like Palantir. You made money on Palantir. You want to see if you can make money on Palantir. I'm not saying you can or can't. I'm not going to say that. However, if we're looking at it purely from a value perspective, how much profit they're bringing in, how much they're growing, whatever it may be, it is starting to get a bit extreme. And you would expect companies that grow at crazy fast rates to have high valuations. That's reality when you look at an NVIDIA. People are willing to pay more for an NVIDIA than a Lowe's because NVIDIA is growing way faster than Lowe's. That doesn't shock anyone. However, you're bringing in about $3 billion in revenue in 2024 as a company. And like I said, you are growing really fast, but you are valued at about $267 billion. And just a company I understand very well. I've covered it on this channel many times before. Not doing too hot right now as a stock, but long term it should be fine. AMD, they're valued at just under $200 billion right now. And as a company, they bring in about $26 billion in revenue last year. Let's just round up, say 27, right? Technically, even if you're growing at the revenue rates of tripling every, 3 years? Tripling every 5 years, excuse me. You would have to triple in a 5-year time frame and then triple in another 5-year time frame. And then you would just be even with what AMD is doing in revenue. That's if AMD doesn't grow at all. And like I said, I'm not saying you can't make money off this. And I'm not saying it's a complete sell or anything like that, yada, yada, yada. I personally would never buy at these rates, but it is just interesting. And I would not be shocked if it ran up to 200. I wouldn't even be that shocked if it ran up to 250. I mean, it's interesting to see, but once a stock catches momentum in a space that's important like this, because what the industry Palantir is in, like I said, software, you're going to have higher margins. That's another thing why it's not a one-to-one comparison. AMD is not a software company. So yes, you would assume when Palantir has revenue, even with AMD, they're making a higher profit margin on that. So I'm guessing there's 3 camps of people watching this video. One camp is probably people who have been invested in Palantir forever, have held the stock through thick and thin, and are just reveling in their success. And absolutely you should be. This is a huge win. Actually, let's get a little bit of context for Palantir. So Palantir IPO'd, looks like 2020. Its share price ran up from like 9-ish to 35, very good run up. And then in 2022, 2023, when stocks were doing particularly poor, they hit as low as in the 6s, right? That's not impressive. That's kind of bad. But those who bought or held through have been rewarded. I mean, it ran up to 15, 17, like I said earlier, later in 2024, it was in the 30s, high 30s when I talked about it. And then it's just continued to run up and run up. So it's not just been straight up. It's been down. It's been up. whatever it may be. So like I said, there's probably three camps of you watching this video. First being, like I said, those who those who held for a long period of time. And you all should be happy with your success. Hold as many as you want, sell as many as you want. I would sell a little bit personally, that's just how I feel, but let some of it run. That's what I would do, because who knows how high it can go. There's not a whole lot of financial even stuff I'm diving into that, which is like, if you believe in a company, you hold it long term, there's no reason to fully exit. That's my personal opinion, as long as you believe in the success of the company long term, even if it's very high valuation. There's probably another camp of you watching who are new, fairly new to Palantir. Maybe you bought in at 50, maybe you bought in at 80, maybe you're buying in right now. I would be the most cautious about buying it right now. Like I said, I don't think it's impossible for it to keep running up. I wouldn't be surprised if it kept running up. However, don't get too much into it. Don't view this as your next get-rich-quick ticket. In my opinion, it's probably not that. And we're starting to get to the point where it's scary and you might get burned. Probably going to get people that think I'm stupid, disagree, whatever it may be. Like I said, you do whatever you want with your money. I'm not giving you financial advice. I would just be cautious around these levels. That's just reality. But hey, enjoy the ride. Hope you do well. I hope you do fine. And then there's probably some of those who are neutral watching this video, and that's the camp I'm in. Never bought Palantir. Never seriously considered it. I think if it stayed in this range for long enough, I probably would have. But by the time I was starting to get more and more serious into investing, was when it was closer to the 40s range. I just felt there was better opportunities to buy long term. Of course, technically didn't really work out, but that's fine. So as a neutral, where I'm coming from, it's really, really interesting to observe and see what is happening. And it's going to be really interesting to see what happens in the future. Is this going to be like a Tesla? I mean, Tesla is a classic example. It did so well and they're growing so fast. If Palantir can have levels like they did, right? That growth from 2020 to 2021, just insane. 46 to 400. Obviously, this is even more extreme than that. I mean, if we're looking at the Tesla, you went from 460 to let's zoom out even a little bit more. I mean, yeah, you can see you went from 12 to 34 to 160 to 200. I mean, if Palantir follows that, you could hit 250, 300 fairly easily. But there will come a time where eventually reality catches up if you do have that run up to 300, 400. And we saw that in Tesla. In 2022, when the market was getting rough, I mean, it dropped as low as 118, something like that. And eventually, obviously, I think Palantir as a long-term 10, 15 year, I think they're very well set up in a good industry. I think they're growing fast. I think they're going to continue to do well as a company. But this might be a company where the share price really doesn't necessarily follow what the company's actually doing. At least maybe not like the traditional company, where it reacts dramatically or inverse. You know, if they do really well, it might go up a bunch. If they do bad, they might just go terribly. Might overreactions all over the place. I don't know. Palantir is very interesting as a neutral. It really is. And I want to keep watching it. I want to see what happens, and I want to filter and factor this into myself. If you own Palantir, good luck. If you've held Palantir for a long time, congratulations. It's awesome when you get a stock that did that. I owned SMC. I had a run-in with SMC. I owned quite a bit of it, around 30, sold some of it above 1,000. So I had something like that happen fairly recently to me as well. But anyways, that's all I really got for this video. Palantir is really interesting right now, and it's going to be really fun to see what happens. If you enjoyed, I appreciate if you like and subscribe. I do daily stock content on this channel. I talk about stocks. I dive deeper into individual stocks, talking about them, what I think about them, and I do compilation videos as well, where I say, hey, these stocks are cheap, expensive, great value right now, text, whatever it may be. I appreciate all for watching. I'll catch you next time.